Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
Pro wrestling is one of the more unique forms of entertainment. Given the unpredictable elements that make up wrestling shows, promoters must be ready to flip the script on a dime.
So we went back and found 10 wrestling shows that were changed at the last minute.
Metaphorically the last minute, not literally the last minute before showtime, although I suppose we could find 10 of those, like maybe. Anyways, here's the list.
Number 10.
Mourning Owen and Eddie. Owen Hart and Eddie Guerrero's sudden and shocking deaths in 1999 and 2005, respectively, were heartbreaking to wrestling fans and wrestlers alike. The first episodes of Raw that aired after each wrestler died were similar in a few ways.
They both suspended storylines in favor of exhibition matches celebrating the wrestlers, and they both featured heartbreaking tributes from the grief-stricken roster.
Both episodes served as a rare and tragically fascinating look at wrestlers stepping out of character to open up about their fallen wrestling family member, and both episodes are still available to watch on the WWE Network.
Unlike the Chris Benoit tribute episode, which isn't even fully available on Daily Motion. We'll talk about this particular episode a bit later, but to be scrubbed from even Daily Motion, that's some pretty hard cleaning the WWE had to do to get rid of that one.
Yeah, man, Daily Motion lets everything on there. It's like one step away from being the dark web, Larson.
Number 9.
Monday Night Smackdown. Back in mid-April of 2010, a volcano in Orangevale, I don't know, someplace in Iceland, erupted, shutting down air travel over the skies of, like, Northern Europe. The WWE Raw roster, coincidentally, had just finished a European tour and found themselves stuck on the ground in Europe.
Luckily for WWE, the SmackDown roster was sitting around doing jack shit, so they staged a one-night invasion of sorts, led by, of all people,
MacGruber!
No, I was going to say Triple H, because he opened the show and gave a Raw speech.
Yeah, but dude, for some reason, there was a lot of MacGruber in this episode.
You know what they should have done? They should have had Will Forte do his Ted Turner impression instead. Remember that?
Yeah, they should have done that for the WCW.
Have him ride out on Teddy Jr., his Buffalo.
That'd been awesome.
That would have been amazing.
Number 8.
Roman's cancer scare. Roman Reigns sent shockwaves through the wrestling world when he announced he had to leave WWE to fight leukemia, in perhaps the most grim storyline Vince McMahon ever...
Oh, stop that. Come on. The outpouring of support for Roman's very real battle with cancer was overwhelming, but his sudden departure left WWE scrambling to fix their plans for the main event scene because Roman was finally WWE's top guy, so they just did what they always did and put the belt back on Brock at one of those Crown Royal shows.
Chicken salad, baby.
Yeah, it also sent a ripple effect down the card, so Braun Strowman went from monster heel to monster face, and Seth Rollins went from being best friends with Dean Ambrose to being worst enemies with Dean Ambrose that very night. Speaking of Dean, remember when Vince McMahon tried to get him to say something really fucked up about Roman's cancer thing?
Dear.
What a weirdo.
Number 7.
Becky's pregnant! Becky Lynch shocked the world on the May 11th, 2020 episode of Raw when she announced she had been knocked up by Seth Rollins. It was an emotional, overwhelming, and joyous occasion, Larson, punctuated perfectly by Asuka celebrating the moment with Becky in conjunction with the Empress of Tomorrow being crowned new Raw Women's Champion, something Asuka evidently didn't even know was going to happen until she got to the arena that day to tape Raw.
It's still too early to tell just what kind of ramifications this has on the women's division or Seth Rollins, but between Becky and Seth, and then Roman ducking out of Mania because he had twins, it's clear some of the WWE's top names caught baby fever, and thus a lot of plans that probably change beyond those pandemic 2020 already caused.
I wonder how many Who is the Father ideas Paul Heyman pitched to Seth and Becky before the announcement was made.
Oh man, dozens.
So
Possibly hundreds.
he loved that stuff.
Number 6.
Snowstorm! The night after Royal Rumble 2015 saw a massive snowstorm sweep across the northeast United States, prompting a travel ban and the cancellation of Raw from the XL Center in Hartford, Connecticut.
So Vince and crew holed up at Titan Towers in Stamford, Connecticut and filmed a very talky 3-hour Raw, supplemented with replays of matches from the night before. It was actually a pretty decent episode, all things considered, with a variety of wrestlers showing up for interviews to advance stories, or in the case of Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, have what looked to be a therapy session.
Oh, come on, man. This is a pretty cool segment, actually, especially compared to the tug of war over the WWE title that came a few months later.
Hey, every title match should be a tug of war like this. Literally, the last man to hold the title keeps it.
I agree. Just put the title in the middle of the ring and say, hey, whoever walks out of this with the title wins, gets to keep it.
It's like the championship scrambles that you love so much.
Oh, I love the scramble.
Just with 2 people.
I want some eggs now.
Number 5.
Saudi hostage show. It's still a bit of a mystery as to what exactly happened to the WWE superstars trying to leave Saudi Arabia following Crown Jewel last year. Did the Saudi government hold the plane hostage due to the contractual disputes between them and WWE? Was it a mechanical issue with the plane?
If the mountain of lawsuits filed by disgruntled shareholders against WWE in recent months is to be believed, it's the former. But then, who knows where they got their info from?
In any event, WWE had to get creative with Smackdown the following night, so they called in an NXT Invasion as a way to fill in the roster and hype the upcoming Survivor Series. And man, it was awesome.
It was awesome. Would have been better with Will Forte as Ted Turner leading Team NXT.
Different invasion.
The main event was Daniel Bryan versus 2019's MVP of all wrestling, Adam Cole, baby.
Baby!
It was honestly the best episode of SmackDown since that time. Shawn Michaels wore a college girls volleyball uniform as a ref to referee the Triple H versus The Rock bout.
That was like, wasn't that like literally the first episode of SmackDown?
Maybe?
I think it was, wasn't it? I think it was the first episode of SmackDown.
Number 4.
Post Benoit! The Raw following the Chris Benoit murder-suicide thing was a touching tribute the WWE probably should have held off on until they had all the info surrounding the deaths of Benoit and his family, Larson.
You can still see plenty of it on the internets, but you can't find it on the WWE network because 3 hours of wrestling paying tribute to a monster is probably not something they'd want in their WWE time capsule.
Yeah, some of the tributes are a bit unsettling to watch, too, given the complete picture, and you'd have to wonder, Larson, wasn't there like one person there who could have said, hey, you know, him and all the members of his family are dead, maybe we should wait on this one?
Maybe someone did say that, but they told Vince while he was eating steak?
Yeah, you should probably just move on.
Because he doesn't listen when he is eating.
What was it? Bad cow. Isn't that what he say?
Yeah.
Hey, boss, maybe we shouldn't pay tribute to a murderer. Bad cow! All right, fine. I did my part.
Number 3.
First COVID Smackdown. So obviously the whole coronavirus pandemic thing has thrown the entire world for a loop. All of a sudden, people couldn't do shit, Larson. Enter the empty arena era.
The first episode of the empty arena era was a March 13th episode of SmackDown, and man, was it weird. At least it was weird for the time, but eventually it just became par for the course.
Yeah, the episode had to be completely rewritten to accommodate the new surroundings. An empty performance center. So to liven things up, Triple H put on a career-defining performance as Michael Cole's comedic foil. He spent 2 hours stealing the show from the sidelines, cracking jokes, picking on Cole like it was 1998 again, briefly manning the camera, and man, it was great.
Not shockingly, Vince pulled the plug on shenanigans from that point on and left us with a crowd consisting of exhausted PC recruits and fake crowd noise being pumped in.
Number 2.
WrestleMania 36! We can only speculate as to what the original plans for WrestleMania 36 were, beyond what we already know. Roman Reigns was supposed to face Goldberg, but pulled out like the day before his match was taped due to coronavirus fears.
But beyond that, who knows? Maybe Shayna Baszler was supposed to take the Raw Women's title off Becky Lynch. Maybe Braun Strowman would have had another celebrity moment instead of winning the Universal Championship.
Allegedly, Hulk Hogan was supposed to win the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, although who knows if WWE would have met Hogan's payoff demands.
In any event, we wouldn't have gotten the Boneyard or Firefly Funhouse matches, which were both moments of inspiration for the WWE. So if there is any silver lining to the empty arena era, I guess that's it.
There's a silver lining of millions of people infected by...
come on, stop it. You know what I mean.
I'm just messing around with you, man. I know you're not a piece of trash. The last WCW Nitro. The most historic night in the history of modern wrestling is undoubtedly March 26, 2001, the day of the final WCW Monday Nitro.
The previous Monday's edition of the WCW staple ended with Eric Bischoff phoning into the program to announce the following week would see the first Nitro under new ownership, his ownership, plus a group of investors known as Fuscient Media for what was to be billed as the Night of Champions season finale.
The plan, according to the book Nitro by Guy Evans, was for Bischoff to buy WCW from TNT, find Nitro a new TV home, and return to the air a few months later, potentially featuring a dominant Scott Steiner as the world champion and lead heel.
But Vince McMahon was.
Vince McMahon was in control, and on Sunday night, Vince's guys demanded the script to the last Nitro from the show's bookers, which they then proceeded to rip up in favor of a brand new script showcasing wrestlers Vince was interested in, and a main event requested by Vince as a sign-off for WCW, Sting vs. Ric Flair. Of course, the night was bookended by Vince himself gloating over his purchase of WCW and setting up the Invasion angle.
It would have made what was the greatest angle in the history of wrestling just even better.
Wait, hold on a second. Let me make this last-minute rewrite.
All right.
Here. Okay, go ahead.
Which would have made it an even shittier angle of what was already the shittiest angle in the history of wrestling.
That's much better. There you go.